Hey guys, it's Chala Dinkoy. Welcome to Tuesday Tea Time with Chala. There's my tea. There's my hair that I'm always fixing. I'm a few minutes early because I am literally exhausted today. I don't know if you can tell. I've been on podcasts, recording them, guesting, hosting since 8:30 this morning, pretty much nonstop in two different locations, and I'm exhausted. So I have committed to working out today. I mean, I work out every day, pretty much every day, six days a week. It's been tough with the gyms closed, so I'm finding it even more of a challenge to do it, like if I'm by myself. So today, I'm gonna do this early so that I can get a good workout in before Logan comes back. His dad drops him back off at 4:30 every day. So here it is, guys. Today's topic is 5 signs your niche is not working. So let me tell you how I come up with these crazy titles is because I talk to people all day, every day. I am either talking to people that I've met on LinkedIn, that my team has reached out to, and that we've connected through a mutual interest in strategic networking or through working together, or I'm interviewing guests for my 3 different podcasts, or I'm actually guesting on their podcast. So literally all day, every day, I'm talking to people about their businesses. So what I love is when I hear problems that I can help solve, but whether the person's the right fit or whether they're ready for that or not, they unknowingly become great material for these Tuesday Tea Time with Chalas. And what's really great about this one is I'm really gearing up to do the masterclass. We've been marketing it for 2 months. We've been filling the room for 2 months. We've been reaching out to really, choice, hand-picked, exceptional people. So I hope that, if you are in the area of looking at your niche, if you're looking at your messaging, and if you're looking at your marketing, that you go out ahead and sign up. So I'm really so happy always to talk about niching, and this is my niche. The niching is my niching. So the masterclass we're coming to an end. It's on this Thursday. It's at noon Eastern. It's 90 minutes. And I was gonna have my guest come in and join me, one of my past clients who's been very successful with some of the things that I'm teaching, and she's gotten stuck over the border somewhere. So we're trying to see if she can still make it, but if not, rest assured we're gonna fill all that time mostly with, hopefully you're gonna be turning on your camera and your microphone, and it's gonna be 100% experiential, 100% you guys are gonna be talking. And what we'll be doing is what I do all day, every day, which is I'll be polishing pitches, which is really coming up with positioning and niching concepts and ideas, and brainstorming that together in the spot, in the moment, and then allowing you to either take that further on your own, to do the research that you need to do to validate it, or engage with me so that I can help you figure that out. So that's happening. It's the link is repositioner.com/lead-gen. I'm going to give that to you at the end again. But so I just thought this topic is so relevant because I have been talking to people, at least 2 people today alone, that this is relevant for. So so you get to be the recipient of this wonderful information. So the 5 signs that your niche isn't working, and it came to me because one of the interview hosts, one of the podcast hosts, actually asked me this because we were talking about what a niche is, how to get one, and he said, well, how do you know if it's not working or if it's not a good one? So the real easy, let me just drink. The real easy thing is, if you want to know if your niche is working, I want you to replace the word niche with marketing. So you can replace the word niche with marketing and say 5 signs that your marketing isn't working. And to me, they're synonymous, because a marketing strategy is a niche strategy, because it is the way in, it is the hook, it is the door opener. So if you don't have the right door opener and the right in strategy, then you don't have the right marketing strategy. Therefore, your marketing, you will know whether your marketing is working or not. Now, for those of you who don't know me, which I hope some people have never met me, don't know me, and are watching this content. I call everything that happens between a prospect and the seller marketing until the question, how much is it? How much is it to work with you? What does it look like? Can you give us a proposal? Everything until that question of how much is it, I consider marketing. Everything after that question, I consider selling. And I teach both, and there are different ways and different tactics and different messaging that needs to happen for both situations. But right now, what we're talking about is everything that is not working until that question of how much is it. So the number one way you know that it's not working is, one, not enough people are asking that question. And you know that not enough people are asking that question because most of the time what leads up to that is because not enough people are actually meeting with you to even talk to you about your services. So that it's usually preceded by like crickets of no, calls or phone conversations or any type of Zoom meetings that would allow people to ask you how much is it. So if there's no sales meetings happening, then there's really no opportunity for them to ask that. And it's the number one way that I can tell that your marketing strategy or your niching is not working is if it's too quiet. So not enough clients is number one. Number two is you may be getting clients, but they're not the right type of clients. They're bleeding you to death. You're only able to charge them so much. You don't like working with them. Maybe you don't like that area of work. Maybe you don't like the expertise that they're looking to you for. For whatever reason, they're just not the right type of client, which tells me that the kind of marketing that's attracting them is not the right strategy. It's not the right niche. And it's not the right message, whatever it is. If it's not the right niche, that's where it begins. So not enough clients, not the right type of clients. The third is if I had $1 for every time that I heard this, right? I hear a marketing problem when I'm talking to someone because their messaging is all over the place. And I say to them, how do you get your clients? And everybody always says to me, oh, it's through referrals. But when I ask them, are you trying to get clients beyond referrals? They're always like, yes, please. But it's not happening. So the reason why it's not happening is because, again, your niching and your marketing strategy are not working. The only way that people will buy from you is if somebody who's already bought from you knows your work, knows exactly what you do, is able to convey it to them for you, because your own marketing messaging is not doing enough of a good job to be able to convey it concisely and clearly enough to get those meetings so that people are asking you how much is it to work with you. So that's another big sign, is you only have a referral-based business. And that's fine if that's fast enough for you to grow, but and for millennials, they're not gonna know what a Rolodex is, but once your Rolodex runs out, then you run out of runway, and then how do you generate referrals? There's a whole way of generating referrals, but if you're the kind of person who's not really actively trying to sell, you're not gonna wanna actively generate referrals either. It all takes, outreach, outbound. And, I was actually thinking about this today, that the more years you're in business and the more successful you get, the more you remove yourself from the no. And the younger the business is, the more outreach you have to do because you realize you have to do it, the more exposed you are to rejection. And I think a lot of people, whether in life or in business, are trying to avoid the rejection. So that's what happens when I get the client and they're already CEOs of a certain age, and it has been many, many years since they've gotten rejected by calling people, reaching out to people, asking people to meet with them, asking people if anything they have to say is relevant. They're really faced with this demon of rejection. And so a lot of the times, these grown, successful men and women refuse to do outreach because they're so afraid of rejection. And it dawned on me while I was driving today and, pondering. Don't ask me where any of this comes from when I'm driving, from Walmart, because I had to buy my case of Perrier. They only have that kind of variant over there. But anyway, the strawberry kind. Why rejection is so difficult for especially the more established CEOs who are my clients. And I totally get it because I face it myself, because I've learned how to go back and get rejected again, but through online channels this time, because without rejection, there's no sales. And so if you're okay with just sitting back and not growing, and you don't want to, you don't need to reinvent anything. You don't want to reinvent anything because the channels of referrals are still working for you, but that's great. But for you, those of you who aren't, well then we have to look at your niche. We have to look at your marketing. Okay, so the other one that I have, number 4 on the 5 signs your niche isn't working, is that you're getting the wrong referrals. And I'll never forget that, especially when I worked with coaches who are kind of far removed from the multi-million dollar CEOs that I typically work with on a day-to-day basis, but especially, you know, and this could happen to them too. If their niche is confusing, or if their messaging is confusing around the multiple number of niches and it's too generic, what happens is that they're sent the wrong referrals, meaning they don't even do what that person needs, but the person that referred them is so convoluted about what you do because your messaging is so all over the place that they send you the wrong people. So you can't even help them, and there's frustration because now you're red-faced in front of the person that referred you. The person who referred you is frustrated because they can't really, you know, provide a solution, and the person who was referred is completely confused. So that's what happens if you don't have the right niches. Often you are getting referred the wrong kind of client, the wrong referrals. Lastly, the last way that I know that your niche isn't working is if people love what you do, but they don't want to pay what you want. So that happens a lot. A lot of clients come to me and say, you know, people are, you know, very interested in talking to us. We get them all the way to how much is it, and then we lose them. And it's not because your price is too high. There are people who are charging, I guarantee you, more than you are for what you do. I guarantee you right now. You are not alone if you're trying to charge what you're charging. But what's falling apart is because you have the wrong niche, so that the person in front of you, the marketing that you've done to attract the person in front of you, is not the right person to want to pay the amount that you want to charge. Therefore, your niching is off. And there's something in your messaging and marketing strategy that is attracting the wrong person. So those are the 5 signs that your niche and your marketing is off. Now, some of the reasons, the general reasons, and we're going to talk about this during the mastermind, and I'm actually going to give you a step-by-step workbook and a step-by-step workflow of how to find the actual niche that needs you, wants you, and will pay you exactly what you want. So some of the reasons why people have the wrong niche, or that their niche isn't working for them, is because, one, this is a huge one, and I talked to someone like this today, is that you have no niche. You're a generalist, and in fact, you are afraid of people pigeonholing you. And if you're pigeonholed, and I love being pigeonholed, because then that means there's something concrete in people's minds of what you do. You know exactly who you are, what you stand for, what you do, and great. Once you're in, you get the hook in there, and if you're pigeonholed for a really expensive problem in the market, you're getting tons of meetings. Once you're in the meeting, you can cross-sell to your heart's content. You can cross-sell every other service that you ever dreamed of. But if you are not talking about, in your messaging and in your niche, you are not focusing on the thing that most people are struggling with, that is so expensive for them and that they have no solution for, then you're missing the boat. That's one of the biggest reasons why people have the wrong niche. 2 is because they're guessing at it, and we're going to talk about that on Thursday, is if you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're trying to figure out which niche is going to bite more and faster and bigger and wants to be with you and wants to pay for you, then that's a long, hard road. And we actually talked to some really brilliant entrepreneurs. I had 2, one interviewed me, one I interviewed today, that's how they built all of their companies, and you know, they're quite successful. And the difference between where I worked, which was the with the giant corporations like Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay, and how they go to market versus these individual, entrepreneurs who are like running by the seat of their pants and throwing spaghetti at the wall. It's like test, 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 test. Then the difference is that it takes the time and the money they spend in pre-launch for the big brands. We used to spend like millions of dollars on research, on consumer testing, on concept testing. And there is a middle way, you guys. I know that as small businesses, we can't afford that kind of investment of time or resources to try to figure out the strategy and the gap in the market. But through the process that I've created, because I know both worlds, I can bridge that gap of moving strategically, picking a niche that makes sense, that's gonna give you what you want, but not delaying it for months and years and having to spend your brains out. So come to the masterclass and find out what I'm talking about. The third reason, and the last reason that I'll talk about, is that you're doing a ton of marketing. You're doing podcasts, you're doing networking, you're doing live streams, you're doing masterclasses, whatever. You're doing posts, you're probably paying for SEO, you've probably paid someone to redo your website because it's the pandemic and online marketing is so it. But it's the marketing is not in line with the niche. And so that's the reason why, and I'll give you examples on Thursday when we talk about what some of my clients that came to me with and what they were doing in their marketing, what their niche was, and then what we switched it to through the research and fact finding and finding the gap in the market and what it changed to afterwards. So that's what I want to share with you today. Again, I will leave you the link. It is repositioner.com/leadgen. It's all one word. Go ahead and sign up. It's for free. It's 90 minutes. It's at noon on the Thursday, May 13th. And I will see you there, guys. Take care.